Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and the Washington Commanders have gotten a few things that we should be excited about before we head into this upcoming Lions playoff game in Detroit. Kingsbury apparently seems to want to stay in Washington. We're going to dive into why everybody is saying that. Also, Bobby Wagner seems to be good to go, along with our current starting kicker in Zane Gonzalez. We're going to talk about the injury report from both the Commanders and Detroit Lions side of everything. And before we get into everything, you already know we got our trivia question. I'm going to give you the answer at the end of the video. It is, what team did the Commanders beat 12-7 on the road on Thursday Night Football in 2022? I'll give you the answer at the end of the video, but before we get into everything in this video, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, I will be live streaming this upcoming Detroit Lions playoff game. I'm going into this game confident. I'm going to give y'all play-by-play, all four quarters analysis, and if we win, we'll have a victory call-in show immediately afterwards as well. So make sure you stay tuned and support all of the videos on the way up to that. And you know, when we hit the off season, that's when I do my best work. You know, we're coming with mock drafts and everything. Hopefully we delay the off season a few more weeks, but when we hit it, we'll keep going with the call-in shows for y'all to call in and voice your opinions about draft, free agency things, or reviews of the season, roster, coaching, all of that type of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, let's start with the Kingsbury news, because I'm just assuming, I try my best like to not clickbait, like, you know, I'm assuming that most people probably clicked on this video for the Kingsbury part of it. So we're gonna start with the Kingsbury news. Hopefully y'all stay around for the entire video. That would be really nice. But you know, let's go ahead and talk about what most people I'm assuming are here for. And apparently Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has decided to wait on any potential head coaching interviews until the playoff run ends. He wants to fully focus on the Lions, and if they win the next round, whoever we end up playing. So if we beat the Lions, and then next up is the Eagles or the Rams, you know, I prefer the Rams just off of the fact that Jaden Daniels can go back to his hometown and play, or it would be nice if it was the Eagles so we can, you know, make sure that we actually win the series 2-1 throughout the entire season. Either way, suited up, you know what I'm saying? So if basically Cliff Kingsbury is like, as long as Commanders still have another game to play, I'm not interviewing for any potential head coaching jobs. And that's pretty unusual, because other coaches that are still even in the playoffs right now, Aaron Glenn is interviewing with other teams like the Jets. It's been reported that the Jets are like his preferred spot. So it already sounds like he's probably on the way out the door. So at least on our end, Joe Wood Jr. and Cliff Kingsbury are completely bought in. They are like, I'm trying to focus on what's going on with this team right now. I do not have time to not only talk about other potential head coaching opportunities that I'm getting, but also I don't even want to interview for them. You're gonna have to wait till after the season is over. But I mean, you've already seen teams already hiring head coaches. Mike Vrabel was already hired by the Patriots. So if you're not doing interviews now, it's quite likely that you will not get a job unless somebody is just wants you that bad and they're willing to wait. But shouts out to Grant Paulson, because he brings up a good point that Cliff Kingsbury, with them not doing any interviews right now until after the Commanders are officially eliminated from the playoffs, or, you know, maybe we go all the way and win a Super Bowl, whatever. He pointed out the fact that the hiring cycle is going slower this year for sure, but still shows a lack of urgency for him to land a gig. Because right now, yeah, typically by now it would be maybe like a couple of more head coaches already hired. Maybe like we were already starting to see things shape out. But right now, I believe Mike Vrabel is the only head coach that's already been hired. Everybody else still has a lot of vacancies out there. Maybe that's because everybody's waiting to see if they can get Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Remember last year it was kind of like Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, maybe a few other names. Right now it's Ben Johnson number one, Cliff Kingsbury number two definitively, and then maybe it's everybody else. And like I said, I've already talked about this in another video. I brought up this point that maybe Cliff Kingsbury just waits until the 2026 offseason. Maybe he goes another year with the Commanders, and then by then Ben Johnson would have already been a head coach somewhere else, and then now Cliff Kingsbury is the hottest commodity on the market. Now everybody's trying to get him him right now. He's playing technically, even though people clearly really want Cliff Kingsbury right now, he's second fiddle to Ben Johnson. Maybe he'll wait another year until he's the man, like the man of the hour, the belle of the ball, and all of that type of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Also, shouts out to Ian Rappaport, because he even talked about it. He even quote tweeted Pro Football Talk's report of Cliff Kingsbury, like not doing interviews until after the Commanders season is over. Ian Rappaport quote tweeted it and said, literally, "This is true. It increases the chances that Cliff Kingsbury returns to the Commanders as offensive coordinator for next year." So even Ian Rappaport said that. I'm not just jumping to conclusions just off of the fact that, hey, Cliff Kingsbury said this, and the fact that he's not going for interviews right now sounds like he's willing to risk not getting a head coaching job, which sounds like he more than likely is just cool with staying with the Commanders and probably already just plans on ending up staying with the Commanders. Maybe he'll do some interviews, just to be polite or just to go through the motions, you know what I'm saying? Or, to kind of brush up on his head coaching interview skills. Probably like a completely different interview process when you're interviewing for a head coach versus offensive coordinator. He hasn't interviewed for a head coaching position probably a few years since before he got the Arizona job, which he did become a head coach for, but things are different now. So maybe he does his rounds of interviews so he can kind of get back acclimated to doing those types of interviews specifically for a head coaching job for different teams. And then maybe when he's ready, like 2026 or later, maybe, you never know, then he's already brushed up on his interviews the previous hiring cycle, and he's good to go this time again in a situation where he would be the number one most sought after potential head coaching guy, assumed, just based off of what it looks like in the future. But shouts out to Eric Sedley at Commanders Realm, because I agree with this as well. He said, "I don't think that Cliff Kingsbury is going anywhere. He's still getting paid by Arizona. Don't forget that. Even going into the next season, after this postseason, we go into the 2025 season, the Arizona Cardinals are still paying him to be their head coach." That is absolutely insane how that contract was set up. Commanders Realm continues on saying, and he knows the opportunity he has with Jaden. He'll be a top candidate next year. Again, with Ben Johnson gone, or even if Ben Johnson's not gone, Cliff Kingsbury is still going to be highly sought after. I don't think his stock would really drop. And to Commander's Realm point, why would you leave Jaden Daniels? He's clearly a top 5 quarterback already. And you can make arguments that he has an MVP case just off of the fact that if you're talking about MVP, you're talking about doing more with less. Who's the most valuable to their team and who's doing great things with the worst roster out of all of the top MVP candidates? You can make an argument that Jaden Daniels is that guy. So imagine what happens next year after another draft, another free agency period, where Adam Schefter already said back before the trade deadline that NFL starters and veterans were telling their agents, "Please trade me to the Commanders." Imagine when we get to free agency where these guys don't even have to be traded. They could just come to the Commanders by themselves without the Commanders having to give up any draft capital to do it. Imagine the free agency we're about to have, another draft class under Adam Peters, and how much better this team will be next year. Remember, this year was supposed to be the rebuild. We just won 4 games last year. We're already at 13 right now and counting. And it's only been one off season. They haven't been able to completely change this roster into what they envision it being. We've overachieved, and yeah, we are a pretty good team, but Jaden Daniels is really elevating it, and arguably average, maybe even below average overall roster. Imagine when this roster is really good. You know what I'm saying? So Cliff Kingsbury, it's like you might as well stick around with one of the top 5 quarterbacks. We'll see what, like the Bears situation. Maybe Caleb Williams turns into a really good quarterback, but the likelihood that he turns into a top 5 quarterback like Jaden Daniels, who Jaden Daniels already is, good luck with that. Hoping on that one. Now, granted, he knows them very well from their time at USC together, and Cliff Kingsbury has shown repeatedly that he can get quarterbacks, develop quarterbacks very well with Heisman winners, Rookie of the Years like Kyler Murray and Jaden Daniels right now. So, if he could do it with Jaden, he could probably do it with Caleb Williams. But at this point, I'm not saying that Caleb Williams can't be good. It's just that Jaden Daniels is already a top 5 quarterback. And what are the chances that there are 2 top 5 quarterbacks that came from the same draft class? So I think Caleb Williams will end up being good. But why leave a top 5 quarterback for any other quarterback unless it's one of those other, you're going to get a chance to be the head coach for Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen, or maybe Joe Burrow with those receivers. Other than that, I don't see why he would leave this situation. As an offensive coordinator, this is pretty much as good as it gets. All of these other head coaching vacancy opportunities, there's no Jaden out there. There's no other one out there. You can even make an argument that Jaden has the potential to be the best quarterback in the NFL. And why would you not want to attach your name to that? But also, shouts out to Burgundy Blog for pointing this out. If the Bears really requested to interview Cliff Kingsbury for head coach, as reported, and bro just decided to hard pass on the whole cycle. I think it says a little bit about something about Jaden versus Caleb Williams. Like I said, remember, this guy knows Caleb Williams very well from the time in college together at USC. So, I mean, if Cliff Kingsbury, as well as he knows Caleb and as talented as Caleb Williams for real is, I can admit, even though Jaden Daniels, I think, is better and will be better long-term as well, for Cliff Kingsbury, as much as he likes and knows Caleb, to pass up on that opportunity, it does seem like he's more than likely just going to end up sticking around with the Commanders, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stays even longer than just the 2025 season. We'll see, because he's already shown that he does not want to be a head coach. I don't know why he keeps saying that in interviews, because the way that he conducted himself in Arizona reporters told us about this when we first hired him as an offensive coordinator a bunch of months ago, early last year. They came and told us as soon as we hired him that he did not enjoy being a head coach. He wants to focus solely on offense. He doesn't want to talk to agents. He doesn't want to have to worry about contract negotiations. He doesn't even want to have to worry about the defensive side of the ball. Like, I remember one of those Arizona reporters said that, like, he would kind of linger around the defense for a little while just to kind of show face, like, yeah, I'm a head coach, I'm supposed to be responsible for every side of the ball, so let me at least look like I try to care about the defense. And then he would go right back to the offense as soon as he could, and working with Kyler Murray, he's more passionate with the offense and things like that. The defense is sort of like everything good? All right, bet, I'm going back with this offense type of situation. He does not want to head coach. He does not want to run an entire team. I just don't see it in him, man. He's having so much fun. He's so passionate. You see him hugging people after wins and things like that, and I don't really remember him doing that with the Arizona Cardinals, even with the big wins that they had back when he was their head coach. I don't know. It just seems like he really loves this team and is truly enjoying himself and loves Jaden Daniels. Again, why would you want to pass up on Jaden Daniels to try to take a chance on another quarterback? Again, Caleb Williams is talented. He ain't Jaden Daniels now. Now, moving on to the rest of the injury report, let's talk about Bobby Wagner. Let's get to this injury report stuff between the Commanders and Detroit Lions. Of course, I'm going to show y'all both teams, and we're going to break down both teams, because since our final practice already happened yesterday, as in January 16th, we already know who's out, questionable, all of that type of stuff. We're going to get into it. But let's start with Bobby Wagner, because I feel like, again, in the attempt to avoid clickbaitness, I'm assuming that the next thing that people care the most about is whether Bobby Wagner is good to go for this upcoming game. Well, just to let you know, it definitely seems like it. Well, I believe it was either like right before practice or immediately after practice, before we even found out that Bobby Wagner was for sure playing. They even like interviewed him in the locker room, and they literally specifically asked him about his ankle injury. He said, quote, "I'm not about to talk about the injury or anything else because, the Detroit Lions are watching." So he didn't want to give the Detroit Lions any sort of info. So shouts out to Bobby Wagner for being the savvy vet and knowing that Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr., Adam Peters, all of those people would not want him just giving free information to the Lions for absolutely no reason beyond what we have to tell them, what we have to report. Why would you just go in front of some mics and tell them, hey, my ankle's bothering me. So Detroit Lions, when we play y'all, please make sure you throw the ball towards me and run the ball towards me because my ankle's bothering. Please take advantage of the fact that I'm injured, please. Like, why would Bobby Wagner even go out there and even say anything about that? So, but when he did talk about it, it did seem like he was pretty confident, like, yeah, I'm pretty much good to go. Like, don't really worry about it.
Good ankle injuries. Talked this for a couple days.
Yeah, I was waiting to get the award, and then
honestly, I crossed our minds. Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm good.
Was anything of note, or have something happen in the game, or just
life?
Do you expect that to impact you at all?
Just life. Nah, I'm straight.
It was nothing like you ever thought would keep you out.
I'm not about to talk about the injury or anything because the Detroit Lions are watching, so anything that I say, they're going to.
So you're 100%. You're good to go. Great.
So see you guys Saturday.
And just to let you know, man, it's crazy how he got hurt. I don't know if y'all noticed, but it was 2nd and 1. And it was a play where Bobby Wagner already had the running back wrapped up. I think it was Bucky Irvin. It may not have been. But either way, it was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. He already has him wrapped up in the backfield, driving them backwards, where it's kind of like a stalemate where they're both just kind of standing up. He's not going to the ground. But you already know the whistle's going to be blown dead. The play's going to be blown dead by the refs any moment now. Like, it's on the way. For some crazy reason, defensive lineman Jalen Holmes just takes like a dive at like a low tackle towards the running back, and all he ends up doing is running into Bobby Wagner's ankle and just completely injuring him and nobody else. I don't even believe he made contact with anybody else on the play, the running back or anything like that. It looks like somebody literally paid him to take Bobby Wagner out of the game on that play. It was crazy. You can see him trying to tackle the running back, or actually my fault, it's not even the running back, it was Baker Mayfield on some type of keeper busted play or something like that. And as Bobby Wagner literally has Baker Mayfield held up, out of nowhere Jalen Holmes he just basically dives right at Bobby Wagner's ankle. So it was just a case of friendly fire. It's really silly that we're even in this situation at all, is my main point. It was a completely avoidable and unnecessary play. So I'm really happy to hear that Bobby Wagner should be good to go. I'm pretty sure he's not 100%, but could you imagine how crazy it would be if Bobby Wagner was so hurt he couldn't play, and then people finally went back and looked at the clip and when he got hurt and how he got hurt, and then how upset people would be at Jalen Holmes. Right now, since Bobby Wagner's playing, I'm pretty sure most of y'all haven't even seen the clip. I would show it on the tape on the screen for y'all, but I don't know, it's direct footage from the NFL. If it was like the all 22 view, I would have you, but since the clip that I have from Twitter, it's like the literal broadcast view, and you know the NFL doesn't play, so I don't want my YouTube channel shut down. But just make sure you go look it up, like the play that Bobby Wagner got hurt on. I could try to see if I just know it's 2nd and 1. I don't know what quarter or anything this is. I'm pretty sure it was like definitely in the second half, 3rd or 4th quarter. It's 2nd and 1, and it's on the Commanders like 12-yard line, just to let you know. So just go look that up. It's crazy, but I just feel like if Bobby Wagner were like so hurt that he couldn't play against the Detroit Lions, people would be headhunting for Jalen Hurts. So luckily for Jalen Holmes, luckily for him, Bobby Wagner should be good to go. We'll see. Because, I mean, it's just even more amazing that people don't even know that. I'm pretty sure way more people would know this, how Bobby Wagner got hurt in the first place, if he was so hurt that he couldn't play against the Detroit Lions. So, hey, Jalen Holmes, hey, man. Hey, whoo, I'm happy for you, man. You dodged one. But the Commanders officially announced via Dan Quinn, the head coach himself, that Bobby Wagner will play versus the Detroit Lions. Dan Quinn said that there's no concern about Bobby Wagner's ankle. So not only is he good to go, but he said that there's no concern. So I don't know if that's just coach speak or if he's actually telling the truth there. But either way, I'm really excited about Bobby Wagner being able to play anyway. Of course, he missed the first 2 days of practice, which is what kind of had us panicking for the past few days. But he was out there yesterday and doing individual work with the linebackers during the media viewing portion. And I'm assuming he actually ended up practicing with some of the team stuff in the final practice. But Tuesday and Wednesday, he didn't practice. But apparently Thursday, he did. And again, we're going to look at the injury report soon. And before we get there, shouts out to Madden for even tweeting this out of nowhere. I don't exactly know why they did this, but yesterday they tweeted out Bobby Wagner's Madden rating. I just wanted to give it to you since I happened to see it. He's a 91 overall. They gave him 2+ points. So since the last time they updated ratings, he increased 2 points. His awareness went from a 95 to a 96. His play recognition went from a 94 to a 95, and his pursuit went from a 90 to a 93. So there goes some upgrades right there for Bobby Wagner based off of, I guess, how he's playing in the playoffs right now, or how he finished the regular season, whatever it is. And then now let's move on to the injury report officially. And on the Commanders side, I mean, ultimately this isn't that bad. Like Jordan McGee, I mean, it does kind of suck that he's out. He's still 5th round rookie, and he already missed a lot of the season. And even since he's been back for the past like 7 weeks, he seems to get hurt on and off, like playing, not playing, getting hurt mid-game, having to come out the game and things like that. That's been happening for the past few weeks. So it's almost the reason I want him to play so much now is because honestly, when we go into next year, with as much as he missed the offseason and the regular season and now the postseason as well, it's almost going to be like rookie season part 2 for him going into next year. I mean, he won't be literally as raw as he was coming out of college, but it's not like he's had like a full year of experience to where you can definitively say that he's going into like year 2 level of maturity and development. So, man, the sooner he can get healthy, the sooner we can go ahead and get him some more playing time and get them out there on the field, and he can keep developing and getting better, because I believe Jordan McGee is the future at linebacker for us. I believe he has the talent. He just doesn't have the reps and the experience yet because he keeps getting hurt. Also, he's actually pretty good against the run so far from what I've noticed in games, and so not having him does suck, especially when you have to go against not only Jahmyr Gibbs, who's arguably the best running back in the NFL this past season, but then David Montgomery's finally back for the Detroit Lions after missing a few games. So not having Jordan McGee does suck for us. And then also questionable. You have Mikael Walker with the same illness that's been kind of lingering since like the Saints game, maybe even before then, where like a guy or two is just questionable or out due to whatever illness is going around, and it just seems like one person just catches it every week or something like that. At this point, you might as well just go ahead and let everybody catch it so we can get it out the way, like going into the bye week or something. I don't know. That's a crazy strategy though. And then also tight end Kosin Yankov, he's been practicing in full. We opened up his 21-day practice window. He's still currently on the injured reserve, but we opened up that practice window the week leading up to the Buccaneers game. So now this is week 2 of him practicing in full every single day of a practice. I doubt he plays, but hey, he's questionable. He'll probably be a strong special teams contributor. We'll see what happens. Or maybe Cliff Kingsbury gets creative. He's sort of like a fullback tight end hybrid type of guy, and Ben Sinnott hasn't stepped up to the plate. Maybe they try to see if undrafted free agent Kosin Yankov is ready to go. And then everybody else is good to go, man. We got John Bates, Jamison Crowder, Cleveland Farrell, Frankie Louvu, Ben Sinnott, Bobby Wagner, Brandon Coleman, Zach Ertz, Zane Gonzalez, Dominique Hampton, Marshawn Lattimore, KJ Osborne. I mean, he's been a healthy scratch out of the way. And then Deron Payne. That's another big one. His finger looked pretty bad. Remember, he came out of that game, and I don't believe he came back in at any point. But apparently, I mean, his finger, I mean, the way it, like, he hurt it and everything, it looked like, oh, man. I was worried that Deron Payne was done for the rest of the postseason type of stuff. And so the fact that he'll be ready to play the immediate next week against the Detroit Lions, technically on a short week where it's only 6 days later after we just played the Buccaneers, that's actually pretty crazy. I'm surprised. So maybe he'll play with a club or something. But he even practiced in full on Thursday. Either way, my point is, all of the rest of those names, everybody that I just listed, are fully good to go. Not even questionable. I mean, maybe it's a playoff thing where, like, if it's the regular season, maybe they don't risk it. Maybe they're extra precautionary like they tend to be throughout the regular season, to where maybe some of these guys don't play if it's just a regular season game. But with the playoffs, everybody's playing. So I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys are fairly banged up, but that's not going to stop them from playing and going out there and giving it their all. And then Dan Quinn also said that there is no concern with kicker Zane Gonzalez and his hip injury. Like we just saw in the injury report, he's fully good to go, and that's pretty notable because technically he's our starting kicker right now. Now, he's like the 7th kicker we've had this year, well, technically since the beginning of the offseason last year, but hey, man, he's the best we got right now. You know how hard it is to find a random guy off the street, off the couch to come in and make a 52-yarder for you, you know what I'm saying? So, and Dan Quinn already gave, like a few weeks ago, gave Lance Newmark credit for being the one that's consistently scouting kickers for this team, and it's helped us throughout this season, man. I mean, we've won some close games, and any less points, any more kicks that we miss, PATs, kicks, whatever, maybe we're not even here where we are right now. I mean, he had to make that game-winning kick against the Buccaneers. Who knows? Maybe the doink goes further to the right, he misses, maybe we lose in overtime. You never know. So these kickers matter, man, but at the same time, I feel like we heard the same thing before that bad Austin Seibert game versus the Cowboys. We heard nothing to worry about. He's good to go and all of that. And then he went out there and was bad. Then they ended up saying like he injured something else. So they're technically saying, yeah, he was fully good to go. He was fully healthy, ready to play, ready to kick, nothing stopping him. And then he got hurt during the game with another injury, and then that's why he was so bad. I don't know what to think. But to be completely honest, I'm not going to lie, man. I know we'll need him for extra points after touchdowns, especially, like specifically after touchdowns, but we will not beat Detroit just by kicking field goals. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. We will be going for any 4th downs that even make relative sense, the slightest amount of sense to go for it. We're going for it, and I'm very sure they'll be doing the same thing. I mean, these are literally the 2 best 4th down offenses in the NFL. Like literally, the Commanders #1, the Lions #2, and the Commanders are like historically great, like arguably the best 4th down offense in the NFL of all time this year. So honestly, if there were a game where we did need a kicker, it would probably be this one, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get into a situation early where we already know, yeah, we're not kicking field goals today. Like, I mean, I understand if it's like the first quarter and we're trying to go up 3-0, maybe you kick a field goal then, but I just have a feeling we're going to be in a situation where we never really even consider kicking field goals, because you got to score touchdowns to beat a team like this. We'll see. Maybe the game plays out completely different than what I expect. We'll see. But another reason I'm also not concerned about Zane Gonzalez's injury is because this is the same kicker that that barely doinked a game-winning field goal that was less than 40 yards away. I know he made that 52-yarder earlier in the game, but a guy that could barely make a less than 40-yarder, how much worse could he possibly be while hurt anyway? I mean, like, of course, it's better to have a good and healthy kicker any day of the week over an injured one, but I'm not too concerned about the drop-off from a healthy Zane Gonzalez to a hurt Zane Gonzalez, because I truly don't believe that it's that big of a difference, but we'll see. Maybe I'm tripping, who knows? But again, at the end of the day, my main thing is I'm not worried. If Dan Quinn says he's good to go, I'm gonna trust him and believe that he's good to go. Also, shouts out to Zane Gonzalez for really like opening up about his OCD, about like what he had to do with his hair, taking his shoe off, fixing his sock, putting the shoe back on, taking the shoe back off, fixing the sock and everything like that. Hey man, shouts out to him. And Dan Quinn even said that he was proud of Zane Gonzalez for being so open about his OCD. He said, quote, "If that is a chance for him to assist one other person, I think that takes just a lot of courage and tells you a lot about who he is, not just as a ball player, but as a man," unquote. And shouts out to Dan Quinn for caring about every single person on this team, even your 7th kicker on the year, who's been pretty pivotal to our success later right now. So not to take anything away from him, but shouts out to Dan Quinn for caring about any and everybody. Now to the Detroit Lions side of the injury report. And I know their injury report looks pretty small, but you got to remember that like a lot of their guys are already on the injury reserve. Like starting corners, everything, like their guys are just already on the injury reserve, so they don't even appear on this injury report that you're looking at right now. But either way, they're missing Kevin Zeitler, that's pretty big. They're missing defensive lineman Pat O'Connor, that's not as big but still pretty big. Cornerback Ennis Rakestraw is pretty hurt, pretty banged up. We'll see what happens there. He's questionable. And it seems like everybody else is good to go. Taylor Decker, Terrion Arnold, who's like their equivalent to their Benjamin St. Juste. We got to target him no matter what. And then again, reminding you that David Montgomery is finally returning from injury for the Detroit Lions. It's been a while since he's played. Been a few weeks. So, hey man, the Detroit Lions feel like they're probably fully loaded on offense. But again, there's the starting offensive lineman that's hurt. So we'll see what happens there. But even their backup offensive linemen are pretty good. So don't get your hopes up too much about the Detroit Lions having injury to the offensive line. If anything, the injuries that they have to their defensive side of the ball are the things that we could take advantage of. I think our offense is going to eat against their defense because of the injuries that they have. I mean, imagine if they had Aiden Hutchinson right now. That man was on pace to set like an NFL record for sacks. So, hey man, that defense is very vulnerable with all of the injuries that they have, not only to the secondary, but the defensive line everywhere. Like, they are really banged up defense right now. Their offense is fairly banged up, but their defense has caught the injury bug the worst. Also, moving on before we get up out of here, the Commanders all wore Mitchell and Ness legacy merch to honor Ring of Fame quarterback Doug Williams. He was named an honorary postseason captain for the team, like I already told y'all, and that's really cool, man. They're doing everything that they can to make sure that Doug Quinn feels loved and appreciated over there. I absolutely love every bit of it. And then the last thing, NFL rule change, just to let you know, really random, has nothing to do with the rest of what's going on in the video, but as like I always say, man, the reason I made this entire channel, like literally from the jump, the main purpose was to make everybody else a smarter fan. That's why I always ask for y'all to critique me or make sure, tell me if I'm wrong or whatever in the comment section, because the main goal is for all of us to become smarter and more well-informed fans of football, whether it's a specific team or just the overall sport, whatever. Either way, NFL rule change. In 2025, the NFL is expected to officially expand replay assists to even include face mask fouls missed by officials. Really interesting. Keep that in mind. That's something to look forward to when we start to get into the offseason, and they're of course gonna test it like during the preseason and things like that. Can't wait to see how that goes. It seems like every season they're changing some rules, they're making some tweaks. That one is one to look out for. Now, if the refs miss a face mask call and you just feel so sure that it really was one, and you feel like this is like a game changing play if they do like actually call it, hey man, it sounds like you're gonna be able to throw that challenge flag right there. We'll see how that goes. But they're saying even like replay assists, it may not even be required that you have to throw a challenge flag. Maybe they'll just look at it like in between play. Who knows? We'll see how they exactly break it down. I'm just guessing with a lot of those things, but just know face mask fouls will have a larger magnifying glass placed on them than can compare to any really other season in NFL history. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. And the answer to the trivia question, if you made it this far, man, I salute you. Appreciate you for even making it this far in the video. Appreciate y'all. And just to let you know, the answer to the trivia question was week 6, the Chicago Bears. Just to let you know. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do you feel like Cliff Kingsbury is going to end up staying with the Commanders? And also, if you had to take a guess, how long? Do you think he'll be here not only through 2025, but maybe even 2026 and beyond? Does he want to just settle here and just stay a Washington Commander offensive coordinator and stick with Jaden Daniels as long as he can throughout his career? We'll see. Let me know how you feel about all of that. Let me know how you feel about like Bobby Wagner. Is he just kind of playing through a tough injury and maybe you think he'll be lingered against, like a little bit of hampered against the Detroit Lions? Or do you think he's actually fully ready to go like Dan Quinn said, where there's no worries? How do you feel about Zane Gonzalez, our kicker? You know, seeming like he's somewhat hurt, but he should be good to go. They even held like kicker tryouts, but apparently it's nothing to worry about. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.